What's going on, everybody? Welcome back for another episode of the Crank Kicks Lex podcast. We've got a full crew. I know that we took a week off, but we're back in action. We've got plenty of good stuff to talk about now that we've let everything kind of simmer and stew. Of course, the best thing that we have to talk about today is the fact that we have the reigning women's beer champ, Jessica
Yay.
Powell, repping for the crew. Oh man, you were like so amazing with that. I was like, oh my
I was
gosh, is she
struggling.
gonna like beat this other lady in front of her? It was you and one other lady, and you both like were kind of doing the thing where your arm was starting to dip a little bit, but both of you were like, no, we won't quit. And you even did like the cool little leg kickstand technique to,
What did
to
I
get
do?
some extra bounce. You were like leaning your leg out in front of you to get like extra like
Oh,
leverage on it
I
all and everything. You blacked
towards
out,
the
didn't you?
end, towards the end, I blacked out a little bit. I mean, not really, but
Yeah.
I strategically, I started like move forward a little bit to be even with her, and I was like, no, if she's listening, yeah, this was my strategy. I stayed behind her so she couldn't see me struggling, and like the mental side where it's like, oh, well, I don't know if I can do much longer because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the person behind me is doing, and I'm over here like, please just drop. I was getting really close.
It's intense. I didn't get there in time to sign up. I was kind of bummed, but they told me that you'd signed up, and I was like, okay, good. At least we have somebody from the crew representing, so we're locked in. But it is weirdly difficult. Like you sit there and think about it, and you're like, man, holding a couple of glasses outstretched for a little while, it'll be fine. And then you pick them up and you start going, and about like, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds in, you're like, wait a second, this is getting a little heavy. What's up with these things? And then before you know it, like a minute has passed and your arms are about to explode and you feel like you're made of jello, and it's an experience.
Yeah. Well, like my left arm specifically was the one that was dropping the most. And in my mind, I'm like, I swear I'm trying to hold this up. And it just was not, yeah, it was not wanting to cooperate. But, and I think they said like the rules were if it dropped like below, like if you weren't shoulder height, that you would be eliminated. But they ended up, I think, just doing it to where whoever dropped first. Because
Yeah.
yeah, between her and me, like we were both like dropping a bit.
One of the coolest things too was Ali Pantuso's family cheering you on as well.
That was
Like,
awesome.
yeah, that was pretty neat.
Shout
They were
out.
sitting there like, come on, Jessica. And I was like, all right, she's destined to win now. Like, how can you lose?
Yeah, that was
Like,
that was pretty cool.
all
I'm
the
not
fuel
gonna
you
lie.
need.
And they do
Yeah.
listen to the podcast. So
Yeah. Which
hey,
is really
thanks for
cool.
cheering for me.
For real. And listening. That's awesome. We
Yeah.
always love that support. That's super cool. And then Kyle, like you are clearly hashtag powered by her and your new nursery
Yes.
there, dude. It's looking
Yeah,
good.
I can tell based on like the screens, it's like one of these things, not like the other. I'm in the nursery for baby P, and it's just all pink. So even like the light that's coming over, like I feel like washing over me is pink. So it's not. There's nothing wrong with my camera. This is exactly how it looks in here. So yeah, we're just getting excited, And I figured we got a TV in here now, so I got some Monday Night Football going on. I got the lights working in here, and so I figured I'd do the pod from the nursery and give everyone a glimpse into this very specific corner of it.
Kyle's like that episode of Seinfeld when Kramer has the red light and Jerry's like, dude, Kramer, what the hell is going on over here? And the red light's peeking out. No
Oh yeah, the
Seinfeld
meme
heads
that
here.
floats around.
I mean, I've seen the show.
Yeah. You lost everybody below 30, Dylan. They all just stopped listening.
I am
Including me.
below 30.
Including
Not you,
me,
Skull, though.
all of us under 30s.
Yeah, me as well. Yes. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what I meant. And then Dylan, I see like your background's coming along, dude. Every time we have an episode, there's new stuff, it's new memorabilia from the team back there, dude. Did you get is like okay, never mind. That's the icicle scarf. I was wondering for a second if I saw like the new women's scarf that Jessica
Nah,
got, which is really nice.
I got both.
nah. I got
Yeah,
the
you got both.
icicle scarf back there. Yeah, I
Mhm.
do try to like add more things, and I'm gonna have to like change out my comic books.
Yeah.
I had Spider Woman right there. The Spider Woman I have right there is like a special edition, like the cover. It's a variant cover, and then the one I have underneath
Powered by her.
is a Justice League of America, and they have 52 different versions of them, one with each state, and I'm trying to collect them all to have all 52 states, and
Oh,
Kentucky right there, and I feel like that's fitting, right? And then
Yeah.
the other stuff is like LSC related. I got a captain's armband, up there. I got the commemorative ticket from the first home game from the women's game up there added. And then Austin printed me a nice LSC badge that's up there too, next to the sign. So, yeah.
You got everything, dude. I know my stuff is just like in piles behind me on the shelf somewhere because there's so much of it that I'm like, I don't know how to organize this, and it gets overwhelming. And then the ADHD takes over, and I'm like, just put it in a pile, your fandom pile. Just people come over to visit, I reach in, and I'm like, do you want to see my LSC treasures? I'm like, what is that? No, it's fun collecting that stuff and then finding
Yeah.
a way to display it.
mhm.
All right, let's kind of get into some soccer stuff. First, before we get into the games, I just figured somebody had asked us about this because we always put out for questions in our Discord, and somebody brought this up last minute, and I was like, let's just lead off with that. The new Lexington Sporting Club 1 deal. If nobody's heard of it, it's essentially the women's and men's team season tickets all rolled into one. And now it is literally just one season ticket. So you buy both at the same time, although it is not two separate prices. By all accounts, from people I've talked to, it sounds like the pricing is essentially the men's ticket price. I don't know. I've not checked with where my tickets are, so I don't know if certain sections have an upcharge compared to last year, or if they're just rolling with the same pricing or not. But seems like a pretty good deal. But they were wondering our general thoughts on the process because apparently you cannot buy them individually anymore. There's no such thing as a men's season ticket and a women's season ticket. It is just a club season ticket. I don't know. Do we have any like particular strong feelings about that process or that opportunity?
I didn't know that it was gonna be like literally one option. I thought it was gonna be like there's three options: men, women, or the one, which includes both.
Hmm.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought. So this is news to me to find out that it's just one.
And
I
that
don't know.
could be mistaked. I
I
don't know.
really like the idea initially. Um, yeah, I think if the price stays the same as the men's, then there's really no downside to it. There's literal no downside because you're just getting more games for the
Mhm.
same price. And if you're able to sit in your same seats and whatever, just convert that over. I feel like this is kind of a no-brainer for people.
That's
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
how it feels to me.
other than some of the the maybe the weird ticketing overlaps with people who have seats at certain
Yeah.
spots for one for men, one for women. But to me, it's just a great way to get folks out. If if you are looking for something to do, you're like, well, I already have tickets, so I might as well go
Mhm.
to the match if you're a women's fan and you want to just go check out the men's match and vice versa. So
Yeah.
to me, it seems like a nice streamlined way. I mean, there's a lot of you know, I remember early discussions about one crest, one club, and all of that. And it's always a nice thing to say. And then when it comes down to actually how are you going to put that into practice? I mean, this is how you do it. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot of clubs out there that have men's teams and women's teams, and they have different brands and they have different, they're in different leagues and everything. And a lot of times that's not up to them. But I will say that this is just kind of another way to really hammer that home. And I think it's cool. I think it's, um, I don't know what the rest of the American soccer landscape looks like if we're following in the steps of any other club or if we're kind of the standard bearer. But either way, I think it's I think it's neat if it gets to the point where they're having to turn people away, I guess that'd be a good problem to have. I think the point of the club that we're at now, it's just a great way to kind of stamp that one club, one crest mentality.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Um, as like we have tickets to both. We got season tickets to the men's this year. And then when the women's season started back up and they were selling the fall package, we got that as well. So as a family who loves to attend both, I think it's nice. It'll be nice next year not having to worry about trying to figure out like when we're getting tickets, getting the season tickets to both. And like we always talk about how we wish more women or more people came out to the women's games. And if you have season tickets and it's for both teams, and it's like you guys were saying, oh well, we got the tickets, we might as well go. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. I think it'll be really awesome for the club, and for the women who I feel like have not been getting as much attention as they deserve. I think, um, yeah, I think it'll be great to get more people out there for the women's games.
I think that's the biggest boon for me is just, Kyle, you kind of mentioned like the whole why not type of approach to it. Like if you already have tickets, why not just go every once in a while? Or very least you have extra tickets and you're like, hey, I'm going to give this to a couple of friends and they can go.
Mhm.
So I think it's smart. I think it's going to be good in the long run, especially because it doesn't seem like there's been a crazy like price hike that's just going to dissuade people from it. Seems like a win-win all around. So I think it's smart. I think it's great for that whole one club, one crest thing that Kyle mentioned. So I think that it'd be really cool to see a lot of people lean into that, and then hopefully we see those numbers kind of pump up for matches, especially for the women, because I feel like this year so far there's been nice weather and the crowds have been good for the women. It just would be really cool if maybe this is yet another way that can maybe build some sustained attendance, even through those not so great months where, it's 40 and rainy and you're trying to get people out there to, go cheer on a team when the weather is less than ideal. So,
I feel,
we'll see where it leads, but
I
I'm
feel like
hopeful.
it also is even if like you can't go to a match since you already have the tickets, you might be more likely to
Mhm.
like lend them to a buddy or send them to a friend who
Yeah.
Mhm.
you're talking about the club and they're like, oh, I'd like to go to a match, and then
Hmm.
there's a Friday night you can't go, or you want to take a different group of people or whatever. So I think there's other opportunities there too, just kind of like word of mouth. Since you already have the tickets in hand, it's like a nice way to use them as sort of a gift of some sort to a friend or whatever too.
Our Discord is good about that too. Like, people shout
Hmm.
out if they have an extra ticket or if they need a ticket too, and it's always really helpful. So, good shout out
Yeah.
for that as well. Yeah, I think this is a good move, and yeah, come out to the women's games. I think, um, like especially now that like the women's team is so good. I mean, the quality of
Hmm.
the team is so good. That's more of a reason for people to come out and buy tickets. And now that like giving you this option, you're getting higher quality, football. So it's just more worth it for you.
100%. I agree totally. Okay, so new ticketing option. Check that out. I actually got a call this afternoon from one of the ticket reps, but I missed it because I was at PT for my still ailing hamstring. But I missed it. But they are making calls about it, so like inquire, see what's up with it. I'd love to see more people out and about at these games. Let's take a little bit of a dip into the men's match. What do you guys say? Let's start there. Let's go with the men's match. We'll finish with the women's match and kind of our whole set of questions that have to do with either or. We got a lot. We actually have a lot for the men's match, especially. Or not even just the match, but the men's team. So we'll kind of dig into these. First, this was a funny question. I like it from Eli. So before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the game, let's talk about Test Youth. I was hopeful there was a clause or some agreement or whatever that he could not play against us. There's a piece of me that was like, you know what? If he scores against us, I'm not even mad. How can you be? How can you be? But they saved us the trouble. They saved us the conflict in our hearts, and he did not play. Um, But it's funny because Eli had asked us if we could improv role play. How you think any conversation between Ates and the team went this weekend when they went to face? I, all I can think of is Ates walking up and saying, "Which one of you has your own nickname that the fans gave you to mark you down as a club legend? Raise your hand." That's what I would do to be a troll if I was Ates. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would have been a troll a little bit. No, I don't know. I'm curious because some people said that they thought some shenanigans happened with Ates and Ketterer at some point in the match. Like the ball rolled over towards Ates and he kind of knocked it under a chair and took a little bit extra time for Ketterer to get a hold of a ball. It's one of those weird situations, right? You're like playing against technically your team, but not really your team because while you're loaned out to another team, that's your team. So I'm sure there's some weird emotions going on there. And, I feel that there's probably some level of like mutual respect going on. But then there's probably a little bit of like a chip on the shoulder type of situation. I feel like you kind of almost have to have that. You're a player that's loaned out, and then you're like, all right, well, you didn't really see a spot for me here, but now I'm making a name for myself here. Are you feeling like you're missing out yet? And that's probably something. Yeah, if I was Ates, I'd have that on my mind because he's doing awesome for Detroit. He's scoring goals right and left, so he's probably got it in his mind like, "Phew, man, I could have been doing that for you guys." But who knows exactly what the relationship is right now between him and the club, or him and the managers, or him and the players, because all that's going to be different no matter what. I know that he's always saying to me like he misses us, and he misses Lexington as a whole. So I think at least in that regard, there's still all the love in the world, even if he's not playing for us right now, But I'm just real glad we didn't have to face him. Ates, our guy. All right, let's get into like just the general game itself. Okay, going into Detroit, what did we say? Did we say we thought it was going to maybe be a draw? I don't think, Kyle, I don't know if you were with us for that one.
Everyone voted draw. Kyle,
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a victory.
You thought we were going to win?
1-0 victory.
Easy to say that in retrospect.
And who did you say was going to score, Kyle, when you made that guess?
I mean, I don't have like the tape in front of me. I just assumed it'd be, do we have someone who's kind of scored a few matches in a row? Like I'd probably go with a Jago or someone. Maybe a Yago. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I think you wrote it down and put it in a time capsule and then buried it in your yard for a week.
Yes.
And then we can go dig it up and then there's our proof. No, but like this was one where it was, I don't know. I felt like it could have been pretty tough because Detroit's doing pretty good in the East. And they're one of those teams that they have had their stumbles, kind of like how we have. In a lot of ways, it feels like they mirror us as far as some of the results that have come their way or that they've missed out on. But that was a team that can be very dangerous on any given day. And for people who aren't like super familiar with Detroit, their fan base is very, very passionate, very passionate. And so, excuse me, it's a very tough place to play at from all accounts that I've heard. Anybody that's visited there, any players that have visited and played have said that the atmosphere is kind of tricky to handle. So, when you're talking home field advantage, that pretty much is it, right? That's one of those teams that they have it locked down that you would think, okay, if anybody's going to have it, it's probably going to be somebody like them. And, all of our moving around, our moving pieces with, injuries or whatever is going on with this player and that player. And we've been having to mix and match and kind of figure out new formulas and, permutations of our team. That adds a little bit more of that, like, what's this going to be? Like, what's going to happen right here? I don't know, like just even if we take the goal out of the mix, what are our like general impressions about how we fared in this match? We had, Daniel Wu back in the back line again. Burks was out, right? Sophie's still not back. Adetikin was out as well. So we had a lot of things that were going on with the team, even more so, the Adetikin one was a new one, right? We kind of got wind that he wasn't traveling with social media posts and, usually we can kind of rely on him. we had to switch it up a bit. So what were you guys' feelings as far as how we performed with the crew that we brought?
I think, to me, this is one of those matches that maybe a few months ago would have gone a different direction, because I think a lot of what we talk about are these interchangeable pieces and having depth. And this seems like a match that it wasn't the prettiest at all times, but at the end of the day, you get, a road victory, and you get contributions and decent performances from guys that you might not have really relied on at other points of the season. I also think it solidifies a couple just core pieces when it comes to like getting Ferry at midfield. Ajago's obviously on a tear right now. So to me, it was like I feel like a theme of the podcast, at least when I'm on, seems to be like what's it look like when you have your B plus team or your B minus team, and like nothing against the players that are out there, obviously, but like if you have 8 of your regular 11 starters, and you're still able to get 3 points, to me, even if it's scrappy and not the prettiest match, then I think that's kind of the whole point, right? That's the depth that we like to see. And, to me, it was one of those where the best teams can find ways to win when they're not at their best, and when, not everything goes their way, but it's still 3 points and a shutout.
Yeah, I think that's a big piece of the puzzle too, is the shutout. I didn't mention it whenever I was saying the people that we kind of worked back in to kind of account for things going on with other players. We had Ketterer back in the lineup. It's been a minute since we've seen him. And so that's another one of those things you're like, oh, okay. Which I think there were some questions about that because, we had a couple of mishaps in a couple of games. And you start wondering like, okay, are they going to try something different? You're going to a new environment. Of course, in the post-match quotes, even Terry Boss had mentioned like Ketterer being a nice veteran presence for a place that's really, really tough to play in, and thinking like, okay, maybe he can bring some calmness, some nice leadership in that type of environment to keep everybody level-headed. But, it's like you say, Kyle, like there's no disrespect to anybody on the team, but I mean, you do have your firm starting 11. Like the coaching staff kind of made that clear, like this is kind of like our choice whenever everybody's healthy. And so you get these other people stepping up, which is huge because they have to take those types of opportunities. They obviously weren't coming very often. And now that they've had these opportunities, I think that they're proving that we can manage to do some things. I do feel like for me personally, there were a lot of moments in the game where DCFC they were scary. Like they were firing off shots like nothing else. Now, were many of them on target? No, but were all of them threatening? Sure. Like anytime that somebody's shooting at the goal, even if it's, 2 feet wide of the goal, you still hold your breath a little bit and wonder like, okay, is this going to be the one that they score on? And so there were a lot of times that we were defensively under pressure, probably more so than we have been in a lot of games, actually. So I don't know. I don't know. Like with this, I don't know. What were your thoughts, Dylan?
Yeah, like it's nice when we can go away, get a win, and we're kind of playing around with the lineup and seeing what works, and guys are stepping up at the right moments. And it's really important when we're getting late in the season and there's not too many games left that guys are pulling out these performances when Kyle said it earlier, it may not be like the prettiest game, but they're still eking these victories out. I still would want to see our normal starting 11 if it were my choice, but these guys really fought hard and played really well. I think Ferry was a real standout for me. I just like how he cleans up the midfield very nicely and kind of like, I don't know, he kind of ties it all together for us. It seems like since he's been in the lineup, that's kind of what has happened. Like things have kind of seamed up together nicely. So I thought he did that very well for us, and getting the ball in those transition moments. He's so good at if he makes a mistake at fixing it right away. He hustles really hard. The goal was really good too. Like the guys fighting to get that was awesome. To see them that pair together was really, really cool. And, you know, we always talk about like how key Michael is for us, and, you know, to see we can get it done without him is good. You know, it's really nice to have that rotation, but it's also nice to be able to lean on those, you know, temples that we do have in our lineup still, like, you know, Joe and Kieran, and, you know, yeah. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah. I feel like looking at some of the stats, and I know Tyler, like you mentioned, they had a lot of shots. Not all of them were on target, but still very, and like you said, any shot could be dangerous. So, also just looking at, they had 9 fouls, we had 22. They had only 1 yellow card, and we had 5. So yeah, just looking at the stats, there's part of you that's like, wow, yeah, we really pulled that one off. So like
Yeah.
we really fought for that one.
It was
And then
ugly.
it
Yeah.
was. And also talking about the fans, like you could just feel the tension through the TV. And
Mhm.
even afterwards, I'm not going to say what they were chanting, but they were chanting something very interesting. Even after the game ended. So like they were intense. Like even watching like the ball kids like heckling our players, or what looked like they were heckling, um, and um, talking about our players that we had in the lineup too. Yeah, we're missing some key players in our usual starting 11, and I agree. I would love to see the last few games, our main 11, but or like, yeah, but at the same time, one thing that we talked about at the beginning of the season too is just the depth of players that we have, and I think this is proof of that, and we're seeing
Mhm.
that in action. And we've been talking about Ferry a lot, but one player that really came to mind for me as someone who has been very consistent all season, and we just don't talk about him as often probably, is Marcus Epps. I
Mhm.
think with Michael being out, I think he really yeah, I think he really performed really well on Saturday as well. So
He is somebody that I feel like was kind of like a shining star at the beginning of the season and then
mhm.
fell by the wayside a little bit, but not in like a bad way, not like he stopped performing. It was just
Right,
like he became more of like that kind of
like just
quiet presence
known.
that's gonna always do his job and keep things kind of neat and tidy. And he has been somebody that I feel like maybe doesn't get as much of the spotlight. So that's a great shout. And somebody had even asked us because we've seen him in a variety of positions, but we had a question about whether we like him better on the left or the right. And I could even add in there middle because he's been in the middle before. He's been pretty versatile for us in that upper half of the midfield. Uh, you know, I I don't know that there's one spot that I prefer him most between one wing over the other. I feel like he's done really, really good with both. I'm sure statistically, if we dug into that really, really deep, we'd probably find one that he has performed, better with. But at the same time, it's really hard to kind of pinpoint that where it's more of a needs based thing when we're talking about Marcus and what he does for us. I think this might be like a cop out for not choosing one over the other, but I just feel he's really, really great about being a solid, consistent presence no matter which side that we move him to. And I don't really think we see much drop off between either one. I feel like it's pretty much like, okay, we're gonna put him there and he's gonna do his thing and he's gonna be somebody that can keep us in the game. Now does he necessarily like have that explosiveness like what we'll see from Michael? Not necessarily, but that's okay. You don't necessarily need somebody who's just going to be this, rocket shooting up the sideline, whipping in crosses, furiously. Sometimes you have those calm, composed leader style players like him that are going to do what they do on that sideline with just ease and poise. And that's really what you need, just to keep everybody calm and keep everybody, in the game plan, essentially. So I've really liked what he's done no matter where we put him. So I'm really glad that you gave him his flowers there. That was good. So
I wouldn't have him starting if
You
it
wouldn't
were
have
up to
Epps?
me. No, I don't think he offers enough in games to be a starter. Like his numbers aren't there. In the beginning of the season, he seemed like he was going to be one of those guys who like produce a lot, and he fell out of favor. And even when he's like been subbed in, you know, or like started to replace someone who's been out, I feel like he's still been quiet, and I just feel like he doesn't offer too much. Whereas, like, I would honestly prefer to have like Forrester and Burke in together with Adedokin, you know, over having Epps in, or I'd probably actually rather have Firmino in, and everyone knows that I don't, I'm not particularly fond of him either. I just don't think Epps does anything particularly different and like outstanding. He's pretty just par to me.
I mean, I will say that he is third on the team in goals scored and second for assists.
What are the amounts though?
I mean, either
3
way,
goals.
he's still 3-2. So that just means that nobody else is doing much either. But yeah, it's 3-2.
Yeah.
And I guess my thing with him though is like I see what you're saying about Corey Burke with Ajago and maybe like thinking over Marcus. But I will tell you, as much as I love Corey Burke, I do like him as a player, but he also has a little bit of a tendency to give up on plays. And when things aren't going his way, get a little too frustrated and not keep a level head. And that can kind of cost us. Whereas I think, I'm not going to say I can't recall a time I've ever seen Marcus Epps get in his head on the field and then give up on a play and then kind of take himself out of whatever is occurring. I think he's always been like, okay, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And so, like, I like Burke if we're going to do like the like for more of what he's been doing for us. Whereas Epps, I think he's that calm, consistent presence. And I feel like you need somebody like that somewhere on the pitch, and I know we've had like Speedy out there too. And he can kind of be that guy, but I really
feel
like
like
that from him.
When Sophie gets healthy and he's back, then where like he's going to be in the lineup because he's a starter for sure.
Oh yeah.
So and like Michael's a starter for sure, and then Firmino probably in the up there, and then or Blessing, I don't know, and Medense is always a possibility too. So there's too many guys that I just don't see. I feel like Epps is way below all those people I just named.
Yeah. I'm cool with him out there. I'm all right with it. I think I like what he does. But it's hard though. We have so many people, like you said. There are so many different people. That's a tough job. It's easy when you're a coach and it's very clear. It's like, okay, these are my 11 always and forever, unless something happens. It gets tougher when everybody's healthy and like your whole team is like, I could see an argument for you, and I could see an argument for you, and I could see an argument for you, and but that always goes back to us being able to just swap people out the late stages of the game and hopefully pull something off. And, whether that be sealing away the game because we're already up or clawing them back. But, these are the good arguments to have because that means you're doing all right. So I like that. And, it is cool. We talk about productivity. Ajago is, I feel, in my opinion, kind of separating himself as like the goal scorer. Because I feel up to this point, we haven't really had the goal scorer. And I don't know if we can even really truly say that it's for sure like, oh, he's the guy, because we've had so many people contribute goals, multiple goals, in fact. And it's not like it's, 3 seasons ago, whenever it was like, oh, yeah, we have one person that's scoring everything for us. But I'm kind of excited because it seems like he's starting to figure things out within the team to like, okay, this is how I can make goals happen for me. And he's got like that nice little piece of luck, I guess. It's not truly luck, but it's kind of like that striker luck. where they're so practiced about knowing where they need to be that it always just kind of seems like they're in the right place. We talk about that game whenever he heads the ball back into play to Firmino. He was in the right place. He made the right call. He had the intuition to send it where he sent it. Whether he saw Firmino or whether it was luck, it was still one of those moments where it's like you used your skills and your awareness and something happened. You could say the same thing with this DC game. Corey Burke sends the ball in and then he's in the spot he needs to be in and manages to make things happen. So it is really nice to see him kind of picking up steam as we're approaching the playoffs, because our runway is getting really, really short and the West is very tight. Like, it is kind of crazy whenever you start crunching those numbers and you're like, what the heck? Like, nobody's really pulling away from anybody. There's like 2 teams that you're like, yeah, probably not you, but everybody else, it's kind of anybody's game. So we really need that to continue with this. And this particular like set of players that we rolled out there, having this win at DCFC was kind of big, in my opinion. It was not in any way, shape, or form our normal starting 11 or what appears to be Boss's preferred starting 11. And we went into a hostile environment, one of the most hostile environments in the USL, and we still came away with a point, and we scrapped and we did our thing. That's kind of a big deal, honestly. I don't know that many people really appreciate how big of a feat that was. And it has me feeling really good for where we're moving, because, you hope we don't really get injury updates. So we have no idea the progress of, what's going on with Burks or what's going on with Jafal or what's up with Adetikin. If it is an injury and that's why he traveled, we don't really know. But you start hoping like, okay, are they going to be available? Can these guys that we have keep this moving, keep that momentum rolling? And then are we going to have a full team that can just hammer away at this last little stretch to the playoffs and through the playoffs? And I feel like, another example of that would be when we kind of talk about our goalkeeping, like Ketterer being in. I don't know. Like, I mentioned this before. I was surprised, but I wasn't. I don't know. Like, were you guys like crazy surprised, or is that kind of, yeah, maybe it's time to see what he's got again?
I was surprised.
Yeah.
Surprised with how well he performed, or that we put him in?
Either.
Yes.
I was a little nervous. I think partly because when he got injured and Brooks took over, I was a little nervous because I was like, oh, just not, we hadn't seen Brooks much. And seeing how well Brooks did, especially compared to the beginning of the season with our record, he did a really good job of helping pull us out of that hole. And so, yeah, I'm really torn. I love that Ketterer came back and did an amazing job. I haven't seen if they put out Save of the Week nominations yet, but I really hope he gets nominated for one because he did fantastic. Yeah, so if as far as like, I think someone asked the question of like, who would we pick, and I'm like, I don't know. That's a really tough question.
It is.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Brooks was terrible the last handful of matches. I had really, really, really bad mess ups. And I think he started out so strong and is such a promising player and just needed, I think maybe just needed a break, like needed a week off, needed something, because the own goal and a couple of the other mistakes, maybe we're just kind of getting into, sometimes guys just need, you start getting into your head a little bit with a lot of things. And I don't think it's, but what I think I don't think it's necessarily a long-term thing. I think it's just, it could be weird part of the season. It's like an NFL kicker, as we're watching Monday Night Football, you miss a field goal and you start thinking to yourself, like, am I going to miss the next field goal? And it's like guys who drill these field goals in their sleep. Same thing with keepers, right? Like, he does that a million times a day, ball at his feet, and the next thing you know, it's in the back of the net. And it's like you start questioning yourself. So to me, it was a slight surprise for sure. Ketterer just balled out on
He
Saturday. I
did.
mean, from what I saw, it
Mm.
was a scrappy game. It was an ugly game. Um, Lexington didn't play to the best ability, and Ketterer was all over the place. He seemed like a calming presence. He played his age. You know what I mean? Like he was the. Of course, I'm 4 years older than him, but he was the veteran out there. It seemed like, and I think credit to him because not like quite a Drew Bledsoe situation, but I mean the guy gets hurt and then he lost his job, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's tough because it's professional sports, but at the same time, Brooks played really well early on. So to me, it's just it was a credit to Ketterer to be able to come out,
Mm-hmm.
basically answer the call when he was called upon,
Mhm.
um, and I think it's a testament to the coaching staff to make sure everybody's ready, right? Like mentally. And I don't know if you all noticed the last few matches. At least I noticed. I'm sure he's been doing it the whole time, but Ketterer was the first one out there with water bottles, to the team when it's
Mm-hmm.
if there's like when he's not playing. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
they come over to the sideline if there's like a stop in the action, and he's handing out water. Like he's just always stayed involved. And I think it's easy for keepers and really any like regular starter who gets taken out to kind of check out a little bit. And
Yeah.
credit to him for staying in it. In terms of moving forward, I think you just play the hot hand. Like I think it's a good problem to have. I also think that it kind of can keep both keepers, you know, a little bit sharp as well, to have some
Mhm.
competition. So I'd play the hot hand. I thought Ketterer was fantastic, but I don't have any hesitation about Brooks's future.
Yeah,
That.
personally, I would go back to Brooks. I feel like this was a good one-off game for Ketterer to get back in there, and like Kyle said, to kind of get Brooks back into shape. I mean, statistically, our and Brooks's distribution is better. The team's record is better when Brooks is in goal. So I would say that Brooks is the starter. And, yeah, he has made a couple mistakes the last few games that have, probably directly resulted in the loss. So, like Kyle said, he probably just needed to get his head on straight. This is something to help do that. And then we can get back to, having him in goal as the starter. I think Ketter performed really well. Um, you know, Maybe it was only situational that he was in there, like the boss said, because they thought it was a, more hostile environment that they wanted a veteran in. So they put a veteran in, and then we go to the next game, and that's not the scenario. We don't need to have a veteran goalkeeper in. We can have the young guy who's been phenomenal. Who's been putting up these multiple saves of the week. Multiple times this year. Um, yeah, I would go back to Brooks for sure.
I'm a little torn because the last time we saw Ketter in goal was like the very end of March. So it's been some time. And I kind of feel like there's part of me that's like, okay, did he kind of fall out of favor because there were some negative results at a time when the whole team wasn't quite gelled as well as they could have been, and so
Mhm.
the whole team earned negative results, and maybe it just ended up being, Brooks had his opportunity, he took it, he ran with it, and maybe we're seeing the reverse happen. Brooks got in his head a little bit, a couple of things happened, and then maybe now we got Ketterer getting this moment. And like I feel part of me, I know that Boss is saying, well, he was the veteran presence and we just knew he'd be calm out there. And he would, do his thing in their stadium in this away match that's hostile. But then there's also a little piece of me that's like, or were you trying to see if he could step up to the occasion and then kind of take that back? So it's kind of tough because I love Brooks Thompson in goal. I think we have a great problem with our keepers where they're both really great, and there are people that are going to go out there and give it their all and perform well. I have to say though, like if you're a coach and you're seeing what Ketterer did in the place he did it in, you kind of have to think, okay, maybe you earned another chance. Maybe you earned another spot to see, like, can you do this? Can you keep this whole thing rolling and ride the hot hand, kind of like what Kyle said? Because, that was a great performance. Technically, he only had 2 saves in the match, but he had 11 recoveries, and his angles that he was taking on the goal, you could tell he was ready. He was ready for all those shots that were kind of flying wide, and he was where he needed to be in case they were on target. And so his composure and the way that he handled everything about that match was very, very encouraging, and very much one of those situations where you're saying, like, okay, it'd be kind of hard to justify taking away another chance from him for the next match after a performance like that. It's such a challenging thing because, when you think about strikers, for instance, you can have a striker score a goal and then still be like, hey, you're going to start on the bench because we're going to sub you in late, and you're going to be that one that finishes things off. And then nobody really thinks anything of it. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Keepers, you don't really do that. You don't say, like, hey, we're going to have you in for the first half of the match and then flip you out, and then there we go. That's a tough decision though, because
To me,
Brooks
I'm
did
I'm
start
keeping
strong.
him in. I mean, 2
Yeah.
more tough road matches in a row. Like
Yeah.
I don't think you change at New Mexico and Tulsa. Personally,
I'd have to agree. I'm with you on that, Kyle. I think, in a lot of
we're taking it
ways
one
it
match
would
at a time at least. But
yeah, exactly. And just say, like, hey, that was great. Let's see if you can do it again. And then we'll kind of go from there. I think that's kind of the approach I'd like to see us take. Because I'm not necessarily saying all in. He's going all the way through the playoffs. Go one more, see what happens. Let Brooks maybe have another week to just kind of get his mojo in order, figure things out, and then kind of go from there. But again, it's really, really tough to justify having somebody have that type of performance and then saying, well, actually next match, you're not going to play at all. I know you just did us a solid, but we're not doing that, because it wasn't just that he did well. I mean, it was a clean sheet, and it was a clean sheet without us having a lot of our normal starters out there as well, which is another testament to what happened there. So that's I would not want to make that decision though in the coaching room. that's why I don't coach at high levels. I'm not sitting here trying to make those toughies. I'm too indecisive. Jessica, we haven't heard from you. What you thinking?
Well, I said I wouldn't be able to choose between the two, but I do agree. Yeah. Like, and I think and from like an injury standpoint too, I feel like there were a couple of the recent home games where Brooks looked like he was struggling a little bit, like looked like he was hurting some. And then with Brooks recovering from the concussion, I think if we don't see him, it may be like if he's like not feeling well or something. So yeah, I think, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still very much. Yeah. I'm kind of torn.
All we know is we got 2 good keepers. So
yeah.
The good news is, if you ask a question, this pod is going to definitely answer it. We're not going to waffle, and for sure you're going to get a hardcore answer from everybody.
That's right. 150%.
Most of the time people ask us questions, we're just like, glad I don't have to make that call.
Yeah. It's like, what?
I hope whoever sent that question is like, cool. That's like, very, very thoughtful. Thank you. Very helpful.
He ended up being kind of like a, 50, 25, 20, 25.
I think
I firmly say
abstaining. I'd go Ketterer, and then Dylan's going Brooks. So
I'd say like 75. I'd say 75% Ketterer.
So we cover all the options. How about that?
Yeah.
If you wrote that question and you wanted to hear something, one of us, you could agree with one
You're
of us.
not dissatisfied. You got what you wanted from this. And kind of speaking
That's
of,
how you pod.
Yes. But speaking of personnel, like we also had questions about like, okay, what are we doing as far as like, Wu over Danny Barber? What about Jafal when he comes back? Is he going right back out onto the field, or do we think we just roll with what we've been rolling with? Because Jafal actually, it seems to be that, he was replaced by Speedy. Speedy came back into the mix because he offered the skills that we needed while he was out. So I don't know. I guess let's just start with like Wu over Barber. Are there any like qualms against that? I mean, like, I feel like Danny's had his moments. Well, what am I saying? Daniel Wu's had his moments where you're like, I don't know. But then he's also had some great games where you're like, okay, yeah, I see this. Barber, we haven't seen in
A long time.
some
Yeah.
minutes.
I mean,
really
I
like.
think Wu, like,
Go ahead,
go
Kyle.
ahead, Dill. Oh,
You.
okay.
You.
Me?
Yes.
Okay.
You.
You, me?
You're the one.
Me?
Yeah, that guy.
I mean, I know statistically Wu has been a better passer, has been a little bit stronger in that respect. Seems to be a little bit more of a stay-at-home type of defender as well. Has gotten control of some of the what I would call like discipline issues, not like hothead type stuff, but he
No.
had some cards and some
Silly
fouls
stuff.
early on. I feel like that silly stuff, right? Exactly. That I think has cleaned up a little bit more. So where he felt a little bit more like shaky early on, perhaps I feel absolutely comfortable. When I see his name back there. Personally, I don't know if I necessarily have strong feelings about it though either. Dylan.
I really liked Barbier in the beginning of the season. I thought he was really, really good. And, to see him kind of, I don't even know why he was out of the lineup, if it was injury or just fell out of favor. But I think, like, at this point, I would just have to take Wu over him because of, like, minutes played, and Barbier hasn't played, at all really. And, Wu's kind of been finding his form a little more. I still don't. I still would say Burks over him, of course, but the question is Wu or Barbier. I have to go Wu just based on form.
Yeah. I would agree with Dylan. I don't have much to add to that, and also agree with the thoughts on Burks. Like, definitely would prefer to have Burks in there, but similar to what you guys were saying, a little worried. I was a little worried at first after he got the red card, but I think with the past few times we've seen him, he's been a lot more consistent and and performed well.
And again, those were just kind of like silly cards. It wasn't like, I'm gonna take a little throwback, but like Tariq Muhammad out there, like bulldozing people, and Daniel Wu's not really like the hothead style guy. He just kind of had a couple mistakes here and there. And that just happens, and you learn from it and you mature from it and you kind of move on. So I think that's good. Now, as far as like the question too, like, it was mentioned, what would our midfield setup be if like Jafal comes back? I feel like for me, it's you bring Jafal back. I know like a lot of positions you ride the hot hand, and Speedy has done great for us. And this is no shade at Speedy. I appreciate everything he's doing, and I think he's been solid. But I don't really know that you can do much better than a Ferry Jafal matchup. Like putting them both out there together in that pairing. It's a very dangerous pairing, and I think a lot of teams have gotten lucky that we've not had them both together for more than a couple matches. That's who I'm rolling back out there for sure in my mind. And, I know there's the matter of like kind of getting them back rolling, because some players they can hit the ground running. Some players it takes a little bit for them to kind of find their form again and kind of ease back into things. So I guess there's always the question of that. And if he's available and it's like oh man, we have to win this to make the playoffs. Maybe in that case, I'm sticking Speedy in and kind of carrying forward with what we've been doing. Because again, you don't know how players are going to react their first game back. So if it's that type of situation, okay, you could probably convince me. But if we've got a little bit of cushion, whether points or just, we got time leading up to it, I'm probably going Jeff All. I don't know. You guys feel any different?
No, I agree with you. I would definitely try to get him in once he's available. I don't think he should start right away on his first game back. I think he should be subbed in to replace a Speedy, But yeah,
Right.
I definitely agree. When he is 100%, he is a starter in the lineup. I think him and Ferry are the two, the water carriers for the team. And then that attacking midfielder role, if people are asking about the midfield, that's kind of up in the air. If it were up to me, I would put Medence there, but it's been weird with Firmino and Epps and Medence, and then everyone moving all over up top. So it is what it is.
That one is tricky.
And I think I am a little conflicted at times, though, thinking about the lineup, because we kind of talked about at the beginning of the episode about how we're going against these teams that, for what I remember, did not perform very well against with our usual starters. And then because we have a lot of injuries, and our lineup has looked a little different these last few games, and they've still been performing really well. So I know we have the usual people that we've seen throughout the season, and I think knowing that they perform well, wanting them back, but then also similar choosing between Brooks and Ketterer, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of thing too, where it's like, okay, do we bring these guys back, or do we let them continue to do their thing because they're doing it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
fair. Oh, I agree with what everyone has said. I think you have to take a look at Sophie and Speedy and make the decision between those two. I'm still a fan of the Epps, Mededican, and Firmino. In those kind of attacking roles. I really do like Medence as well. I think he's a little bit more inconsistent, but our guy Bradilio has not been too shabby either. In a role that I think, not necessarily getting on the stat sheet, for a position that you'd expect to be a little bit more involved, but also has kind of maintain the with the data out recently and some other guys missing time, he's kind of stepped up, and for a guy that and for a guy that we saw in League Two matches, not quite League Two matches over the summer too, it was like good for him, again going back to just kind of everyone's got their own path and journey, and he kind of kept at it and has been nice too in the lineup. So that's another good piece you can rely on.
100%. Yeah. So this, I guess it really just boils down to, you start wondering, okay, like who's going to be healthy when, and if you're rolling strong as is, do you stay as is? Probably. Obviously there's some people that, like we mentioned, Jafal, Adedikin, you pretty much have to get them plugged back in at some point, no matter how hot we're rolling, because they're game changers. But it's just refreshing. I think we're in a good spot. I think no matter what, no matter how much you play devil's advocate or just trying to think like, okay, what I put this person here? What about this person? Or what if they come back? At the end of the day, the team proving that we can still handle business despite these things is a good sign, especially with us so close to the playoffs and with everything still so tight. I mean, we have to be sharp. We have to be able to produce no matter what's happening to the personnel on the team. So far, I feel like we're in a good spot with that. And thinking about kind of where we are with it being such a tight race, obviously there's some points that we left on the table that, especially early on in the season, a lot of games where we're like, man, like if only I could get that back. So we actually had a question about like, okay, if we could snag points back or a result back from one of the games earlier in the season, which one are we going back and kind of doing some revisionist history on and saying like, there we go. That's the one that if we had just gotten our minds right, or this one little thing had been changed, we'd be good. I know I have one in mind, but I'm not going to steal it first. You want me to do it first? Okay, it's got to be the San Antonio match on the 29th of March, the one where we're up to. I told somebody else to go first. I told you, but it's got to be that one, right? But it's like got to be that one because we were winning. Yeah. We were up 2 on them, and then we let that slip out of our fingers, and that was against a Western Conference opponent too, one of the better Western Conference
Who's 1 point
opponents.
ahead of us at the moment, by the way.
Exactly,
Mhm.
right? And so we steal those 3 points from them. The roles are reversed, and
Mhm.
we're ahead of them on the table at this point. And you can shoulda, woulda, coulda, all the things in the world, but that one for me hurts the most just because it was the one that we were set to win. There was no like, well, we could have maybe won. It's like, no, we were winning. We had it locked down, and then we just let it all crumble bit by bit. And
Mhm.
there's also the factor of kind of the weird vibes when we visited them recently, and everything was just kind of like, okay, what's up with this?
Yeah.
Um,
Where they
so
got the
that
red
on top
card.
of it, right? That on top of it makes me just kind of want to be like, man, we should have got those 3 points from
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
Jessica, obviously yours was the same.
It was between that one specific because I remember leaving that game just feeling
Mhm.
so disappointed.
Yeah.
And yeah, because we had it in the bag, and then all of a sudden it was just and we're just the excitement. And I feel like the feeling that I had during that game has carried
Mhm.
on throughout the entire season where we're ahead, but just barely. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are we gonna blow it? Because
Mhm.
in that one we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and either that or I was between, or well, no, I'll just stick with that because I don't, in case I don't want to steal anyone else's.
Dylan, Kyle.
I'm gonna say the 2-0 loss to Tulsa at home.
Mm.
I just think where we're at in the table, that would have been a nice 3 points to have, and I think that would have been a nice win against a really good opponent to show that like we're actually real contenders. And yeah, I don't know. That game just felt like it just wasn't for us, and like the guys just didn't feel like they had it that day, and it felt like Tulsa just wanted it way more than us that game. And I really wanted to win that. Like I really want to be a top dog, and we got to beat the top dogs to be a top dog, and we did not do that. So, if I were to change that result, I would.
Yeah, you also have to beat the bottom feeders when you're a top dog. I would go with just as something a little different, our recent 1-0 loss to Las Vegas. We'd be
Mhm.
7
Yeah.
unbeaten at the moment, would be up ahead of San Antonio anyway, and Las Vegas, not a season to remember, for them, but that was pretty ugly defeat. Um, and
So
yeah, that's
frustrating.
probably the one I'd turn around because it's, we're getting to the time of year where you really are starting to come to form. So that's my answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call. That
That was
Great
was
a good,
not.
question,
yeah.
man. That's a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
A fun one. We get to relive all our losses.
I love our
Yay!
trauma.
This is therapy. I already have
We're gonna do
these.
it again. And then the ball went in the net. No, yeah. Um, that is a good one. You know, it is nice though. Like I don't know if this has hit you guys yet, but it is really cool to have us be in the top area of the table, the upper echelon. Whenever we were in the bottom, man, like 12th, hanging out, and it seemed like we were never going to win a game again. And we're just like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
please, can we turn this around? So even with all those lost opportunities, it is cool to see that we've turned things around to the point to now we're where we are. Of course, it's tight, right? We we aren't like where we are by very many points compared to other people, and a lot of people still have games in hand and all that mess. But I'm trying to cherish these moments while we have them because I don't know that they've ever come. I don't know that we've ever really hung out around this area of the table or been this high in power rankings or you know what I mean for this consistent amount of time. So I'm trying to ride this wave for as long as possible. And
We
hopefully
don't
it
know how
doesn't.
to act because we haven't been here before.
No, haven't been here before. So I'm just kind of like, what's happening? I'm like the John Travolta like gif, just like looking around and like, what's going? What do I do now? Wait, what? Why are there so many teams below us on the table? Is this some cruel joke? and they're gonna just rip the rug out from under us. But no, that won't happen. We'll be fine. It'll be good.
There is a little part of me though that's like waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like I don't want to get too excited. Just similar to in games where we're like, oh my gosh, like the San Antonio game. So and then us losing at the last second, especially with the points being so close. I'm like, I don't want to get too excited because then the more excitement, the bigger the letdown if we can't pull it off. I have faith in the team, but I also am being realistic.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen, but
we got tough opponents ahead of us.
Yeah.
I can't believe you're even like saying these things out loud and putting them out into the ether, Jessica. You know, Kyle's shaking his head because he already knows.
We're going undefeated, huh? Yeah. Just believe. That's all that matters. Nothing else does. It's all good. All right. Let's get into the women's match. We've talked a lot about the men's team. Let's get into some official. Yeah, Jessica.
Before we do, we never got Kyle's predictions. So, Kyle, what are your predictions for New Mexico? Do you think win, loss, draw?
Win.
All right. We've all
Win,
predicted.
baby.
We've all predicted that we're going to win against New Mexico. And then
look, it's 3 and a dub
Tulsa.
at the same time. I made a 3 and a dub.
Tulsa. I'll go with a draw.
All right, we got 2 draws, 2 loss prediction for that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. We're gonna finish.
How many points do we currently have in this stretch?
We have 4 points.
Okay.
Yeah. So far, Tyler and Dylan are tied. Because you both predicted that we would beat Orange County, and that we would draw against Detroit, but it was opposite.
There actually is an Ocean City in
Maryland.
Maryland. Yeah.
There's an Ocean City, New Jersey, and they have a club, a League Two club.
Yeah.
Are they also in the Western Conference?
Nor'easters?
No, they're in the Eastern Conference.
It's the Nor'easters, right?
That makes
I think
sense.
so. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up. Yeah.
So
all right.
Imagine being an Eastern time zone in the Western Conference. All right. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of the pod.
No, you
can't wait to listen to it today, as you're listening to it.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow for sure.
Yeah.
Little podcast magic.
That's right. Fade out.
That was a bad wink. If you are watching on YouTube,
I'm gonna make that the cover image.
All of us winking.
Yeah.
All right. Hey. All right.
Did you do it?
Adios.
Yeah. See ya. So, hey, let's get into some official Gainbridge Super League powered by her talk.
Yeah,
we got to get all the hashtag sponsorships
powered
in here.
by her.
I'm powered by her.
Can't let the Gainbridge goons get us. All right, this match. Let's get into it first, and then we'll kind of talk a couple other things. It felt like it should have been a win, but I'm still happy that we were undefeated. I refuse to be a Debbie Downer about it, even though it felt like it was a winnable match, just because I'm riding the high of us having our best streak in women's club history. So like this right now, I'm like, okay, we got a bunch of clean sheets. We're undefeated out of 4. This feels good. I'm okay with this. But realistically, though, how did we not beat Spokane? How did we not beat them? We were bullying them all match long, and we did not win. Ugh.
I thought we were going to come away with a 2-0 win just like from the game flow and the chances we had. I thought for sure we were scoring twice.
Yeah.
Oh, man. At least.
Yeah.
So I really don't understand what happened and what went wrong. But we still had a shutout and, still still get points. So, like you said, I can't be too mad. But it did feel like, I don't know. It did feel like a bit of a letdown, just with how well we are, like how well we play as a team, and how good our roster is. It just feels like we have the ability to win every game.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like our players and our coach present that attitude too,
Yeah.
that they can win every game,
Mhm.
and even like maybe even put a shutout every game. That's like the kind of attitude that they, embody. So I kind of expect to win every game. So it was a bit of a letdown to not to not have the win and not get those goals that I thought for sure were going in.
Mm-hmm.
The standout players to me were our defensive back line, you know, Bourgeois, Sharts, and Pantuzzo, especially. Those three are just like incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ekic is just, I said it before, she's on another skill level comparatively to everyone else in the league.
It's
So
crazy.
whenever she gets the ball, she's just moving in and out. She's just swimming through defenders with ease and
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, just get her the ball. I do think sometimes it's weird that we have her. There's like some set piece options where she's taking a kick so far away from the goal where I'm like, Pantuzo has proved that she's been very accurate with her, her dead balls, and to have her back on defense, and having Ekich up towards the goal, I feel like would be more beneficial in those scenarios.
Mm.
But like, it's just a really really fun team to watch. I really like our roster.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really like our striker Kat Barry. She plays very hard and she plays the position very versatile. She's not a one trick pony by any means.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be able to control the ball with her feet. And then if there's, a classic striker move that she needs to pull, she can do it for sure. And then to have skill players like McCain and Ekich surrounding her
Yeah.
are, just it's top notch. There's a few pieces of the lineup I would tweak, just like one or two. Um, and then, just I want to see more people get some more minutes. I feel like we haven't had enough rotation yet. And
Mm-hmm.
because we've kind of stayed with the consistent lineup, we're just not seeing what other people have to offer. And it's a tale. It's a double-edged sword because we always ask for consistency, but then we also ask to see everyone. So I do want the consistency in the lineup, but I also do want more subs. I want more subs, and to have more impact and get players more minutes. Like it would have been nice if Hannah Richardson got on a little earlier to see what she had to offer, or
Mm-hmm.
Hannah White also. Shane Moyer, I feel like Shane Moyer needs way more time than just like the 30 minutes or even 20, the 20
Yeah.
minutes she's getting on the field. That's just
Right.
not enough. And then our left side, I feel like, is still yet to be desired. We could use some work on there.
Yeah.
No notes.
I feel like this with this match, it just felt so good in so many ways, and I feel like we were clicking. You know, I love last year's squad, but this year's squad, the passing is so crisp. Like as far as us connecting, I think we're tied for first in the league for completed pass percentage. Like we were rocking it, and we are so good about just pinging the ball around, doing our thing. And then you talked about the skill players. Amina is just on another planet. I don't even know. Just like watching her, I'm like, how does she play for our team? Like our team has like the player in the league. It's that's how I feel about it. We have LeBron James. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
like
it really feels that
it
way. I'm
it
I'm
does.
genuinely scared to have her on our team because it's
Hmm.
only a moment before
Somebody whisks her away.
Kansas City, takes her away, or
Yeah.
Chicago, or, a big MLS team is going to take her away at some point.
Or the Monstars. I don't know. Like, I'm just worried somebody's gonna take
Well,
her
they'll
from
just
us.
steal her power. They won't take her.
Either way, dude, it's still taking. Like, we can't let it happen. We can't let it happen. We need to prepare. But this game felt so good in so many ways. And I noticed something whenever we had the post game interviews. Coach Max said it. The players we interviewed said it. Everybody was like, "Man, we're playing really good, but sometimes we just aren't taking our shots,"
Yeah.
which is kind of insane when you think about who we have on the team. Like the players we have on the team that are well known for scoring goals. And, this is a match where you truly see them. We even talked about it during the game. It felt like some of our men's games where they would just kind of dance around outside of the box and be
Mhm.
waiting for that perfect opportunity instead of just trusting themselves and letting it rip. And, the players even said that. They're like, sometimes we're just waiting too long. We're
They
waiting
said they
for
need to
the
be more
perfect
aggressive.
thing.
That was
Mhm.
the
Yes.
takeaway. They need to be more aggressive.
Right, and be more willing to trust themselves and take shots and not
Mhm.
just say every single thing has to be perfect. You got to check the wind real quick. Now I got to like analyze the positioning of this player for 4 seconds. You just shoot the ball. And with who we have, I feel like more often it should be that they're trusting themselves, like and being like, that's me. I'm the one that can do that, and just saying that in their head. Perfect example. Amina, when she took that crazy shot that I thought for sure was going in, which, by the way, all the props in the world to Spokane's goalkeeper. She's got to win Save
Hope
of the
I
Week.
see.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
got to win Save of the Week. Like, I don't know how she managed to get her hand on that ball because it was going one way and it kind of did a little knuckleball curve and then went another. And she just got enough on it to where it hit the post. And I know where we were sitting, we're like, oh, did that maybe go in? And people after the match were like, we're pretty sure it went in. And then I went and looked at the team story and they were recording from right there. And I paused it right when the ball hit the ground and it was outside of the line. And I was like, it did not go in. And I wished with all my little heart that it had, but geez. But like that type of shot though, we need that audacity. We
Mhm.
need players just being like, I'm gonna rip this shot. And like we're gonna put it on frame and I'm gonna make you all work to handle that. And I
Mhm.
don't see what's so wrong with it. Again, it's like what we were talking about with the men's team. It's okay to say, hey, don't waste your opportunities. Don't be wasteful. But there's a fine line between telling your team don't be wasteful and being wasteful in the sense that you don't ever actually trust yourself to take those shots. Like
Yeah.
that is another
Mhm.
type of waste. And so I don't know what it is that kind of caused that holdup, but I just really hope that the team starts being like, all right, we cannot win if we're not just going to put that pressure on them and try this out. And there were some great opportunities, like that one from Kat Berry, like down at our end in the supporter section where she like stretched her leg out as far as she could, but she was just a little too far back and it just kind of boop, popped the
Yep.
ball and then like nicely went into the keeper's hands because it didn't have enough oomph on it because she was just a fraction too short. But man, that would have been a banger goal if she had been right on it. And you love to see that. That type of effort is amazing to see. And I think that it's not a problem in the sense of our players don't know how to do A, B, and C. I just think it's like a weird thing right now where they're just like, oh, I need to tell myself I can do A, B, and C and then do it and it'll be fine. Because I think that we could have absolutely obliterated Spokane. I,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really do. We were hands down the better team on the field. And I think that that was easily, like you said, Dylan, I agree, at least a 2-goal game from us,
Yeah.
not maybe a 3. If we're really being honest, like we had some really great chances against them. And even in the moments where they found a way to pressure us a little bit, there were only a couple times that I feel like there was any legitimate danger where I was like, ooh, they might do something about this. But for most of the game, it was all us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like our defense held so well
Oh
and
yeah.
that like our goalkeeper doesn't even have to do anything. That's how good our defense is. And it's such a stark comparison to last season where Sarah Cox was just getting obliterated unfairly because our defensive line couldn't stop a cold, at all, right? Um it was just it's really nice to have a stout defense right now. So they always put you in a position to win those games.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think we are goals against right now? Goals conceded. There's 9 teams. Where do you guys think we are? Don't look it up. Don't cheat.
I don't know. We're probably at the bottom. We only let in 3, right?
Yeah.
Oh
So you
yeah,
say
that's
9?
true.
9 out of 9 being a good thing.
Well, I don't know.
Jessica?
There's one team that has only played like 2 games. I think
Jessica's
Carolina has
looking it
only
up. I
played
can see it at her
2 games.
glasses.
Yeah, I know. Jessica's cheating.
Yeah, you're wearing glasses. We can see what you do.
They've played 3.
Yeah.
No, yeah, you only know that because you're looking it up.
Jeez, what a pumpkin eater over here.
This is
I'm
I
gonna
thought
take
that's
you to
what
the
we were
pumpkin patch.
doing. I thought I
No,
was
you're
supposed.
guessing.
This is the type of
Guessing.
behavior
Okay,
I
well-
expect from someone who parks in a handicap spot who does not have a handicap sticker.
I would never.
Oh, you have done that
Diabolical.
for sure.
No,
at soccer
I never
practice.
have. No.
You're at soccer practice, and
Oh
I
my
gave you,
gosh, that does not count.
Yep.
In an empty parking lot.
Hey, still counts to me.
No, it's illegal. I'm reporting you. So what do you think? Out of 9?
Out of 9 teams, where are we with goals conceded?
Yeah, 9 being good, 1 being bad.
I think we're 9.
We're 9. We're 9. Can you believe that after last season? Last season we like let in what if it's like 60 something
14
goals or
million?
something. Yeah, and now like granted, we got some catching up to do on a couple teams, but we only have 3 goals against us, and we have the least goals conceded in the league. So again, great testament to our goalkeeping and our defense, and really just the team as a whole, right? Because it really takes the whole team to make that happen, not just 1 or 2 players or a back line. So that's one of those moments, we talked about like with the men's team being like, how did we go from 12th to now we're battling for one of the top spots in the West? It kind of feels surreal here too. We're like, oh man, like all the commentators did last season was be like, well, if you want some goals, play Lexington. And I'm like, please stop saying that.
Yeah,
Please
for
close your
real.
mouth right
Oh my
now and
gosh.
stop speaking into the microphone because I'm tired of hearing you bash our team. We're trying our best, okay, man?
Yeah.
But then like seeing this stat and I'm like, okay, it's only 4 games in. I'm not going to get carried away, but it does feel good. It does feel good to see that type of stat on there and to see that we've got our, 3 clean sheets. That's amazing to have. You really were wondering that first game, that 3-3, you're like, oh man, are we going to have to scrap every game? Is that what's going to go down? And I feel like that was just our tune-up game. And then here we are, and we're just steamrolling with our defense and our goalkeeping. And it's amazing. And it does help too that we keep so much pressure on with our offense. We have such a talented crew that I think that helps us out a whole lot. We talked about Amina. What did I see earlier? She's like an upper echelon for a lot of things. Chances created.
If you
She's like
check
first.
the league stats, she's a league leader in so many things.
Yeah. Crosses first,
Mhm.
chances created first. Kat Asman's first as far as clean sheets, like on the goalkeeping side. It's just a really nice all around statement of success. And I think that we're doing so good. And, when we're moving forward into this weekend, Friday, we have another Friday match, right? Isn't that what I'm thinking?
Yes.
Against Dallas. That right there for me is going to be like the litmus test.
This is a big test
for us. It is because, we've had a couple of games where we've done fine. Like obviously, honestly, I'd say we've done great. Okay. We may not have gotten wins, but I feel like we did really, really well. We controlled the game in both instances, but this is one where I think we need to put some goals in the back of the net. If we put goals in the back of the net against Dallas, sure, 0-0 draw, I'll take it against Dallas. Don't get me wrong, but this is one of those times where you say, we need to show people that we are going to beat good teams. And we've shown that we can like hold steady and maintain points. But now it's time to be like, no, we are the team that brought in all this attacking talent and they're going to just pepper your goal. Like that is something I want to see from us. And I think that that's the plan, right? I mean, we heard it in the post-match interviews. Nobody said anything different. I think everybody's on the same page. I'm feeling confident that the whole message this week is like, do this, do the thing. Like, you can score goals. You can win. We are an insanely talented team. Now it's time to tell everybody we're coming for points, not settling for draws. We're not experiencing losses. We are coming for full-fledged points. We're coming away with 3. And the quicker we can start doing that, the better off we'll be. Because we saw this happen to teams last year. This weird split season is kind of funky. Teams that were obliterating other teams in the fall were not doing so great in the winter/spring, and vice versa, right? Like a perfect example is Brooklyn. Brooklyn was like the team that was steamrolling everybody, and then all of a sudden after the break, they fell apart. And then Spokane, they were stumbling in the first half of the season, and then they come back from the break and they're doing amazing. So like right now, we need as many points as we can get and to try and maintain this momentum. So that way when the second half of the season comes around, we don't end up in one of those situations where we're like, oh man, we like lost who we are, and so now we're stumbling a couple of matches, which hopefully that won't happen anyway. But it was just something interesting that happened last year.
Well, and as far as if we were to make predictions for our game against Dallas Friday, I definitely think, and I know that'll, with them being number 1 right now with 10 points, that being a litmus test. But looking at their past 2 games, they tied against Tampa, who's currently in last, and then Fort Lauderdale beat them 4-1. And when we went against Fort Lauderdale, like we had a draw 3-3. So I think kind of looking at that and using that as a basis, I think a win is definitely possible.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think we can definitely win this game. I don't know if it's going to be the prettiest game. I can't say one way or the other. I can't say we're going to win, 1-0, 2-0,
Right.
or I can't say if it's like a 3-2 win or, whatever. I don't know, but I'm really hoping for a win. I think we can pull it out. I think one person who like hasn't got enough shine this season for us is Taylor Almer, and she's really been a solid performer for us in the midfield, and really, really steady hand and cleans things up. Kind of like how I mentioned Ferry is kind of like that piece for us. She's kind of the same way for us for the Super League team. So just shout out to her. Just don't feel like she's getting enough love.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
She's been solid.
Very much so. So we've seen a couple of matches without goals against Dallas. How many goals do you think we got in the tank? What are we coming away with now that we're like fired up and we're like, no, we need to shoot at the net?
Can I bring up something silly real quick?
Never.
Like as sports fans, we have like weird, like we're superstitious things. We care about the feel of the game a lot too. I need Kat Berry to not wear black boots anymore. Because listen, I'm dead serious.
You're did you even notice that?
Listen to me.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Listen.
Okay, tell me.
When you wear black boots, right? Cleats. I'm using the term boots for, football, right?
I thought you meant like the before the game fits. And I was like, what?
No. I meant like
so
cleats.
Confused.
Like the pre-game
I
fit.
hear you.
Oh,
I hear you.
no.
Yeah.
No, I did not mean that at all.
I was
that
like,
would be weird.
That.
That would be weird.
Never.
I was
that
like,
was
what
really weird. You took that to a weird
place,
and I was not there.
Yeah. I was like, you're really into the pre-match fits, like
no,
the style icon over here.
No. Black cleats make you look like you run slower. So I need yes. Like if you watch people run and one person's wearing a bright pair or a dark pair, the person wearing the dark pair, like a black pair, they look like they're running with bricks on their feet. I'm dead serious. And so I need Kat Berry to wear like a bright color or a white pair, something that's not black, because it makes her look a lot slower than she is. And once she does that, I know she'll unlock that hat trick. We only saw her get the brace. She changes the boots, cleats. It's a hat trick for her.
Hey, you know what? Here's the idea. Her sister that did the cool sweater for her can paint her cleats
There you go.
match the sweater, and then the luck will live on through the cleats, so she doesn't always have to wear the sweater as the pre-match fit. That there, problem solved. It's good.
Done.
I think we can get a win against Dallas, even with black cleats. I think we score a pair of goals. I think we score a pair. I really do. I'm thinking Amina finally gets one for sure.
Set piece?
I don't think it'll be a set piece. I think it'll be some wild one, kind of like what she tried to pull off against Spokane. I think she's going to get them on one of those because those are absolutely vicious. I don't even know how keepers deal with those types of shots. I think she finally gets one after the drought that we've had for sure. And then I'm gonna say we get another Cat Berry goal. I think she's due for another one. I think we get a pair, and I think those are our scores. I'm gonna just kind of put that mojo out there. It's in the universe now. We got this. So I don't know. You guys don't have to guess scores. What are you guys thinking as far as like how many goals we're scoring? Results aside.
I think we'll get 3.
I like it.
Especially with Fort Lauderdale, them conceding 4 goals against Fort Lauderdale and then one against Tampa. Knowing how dangerous our offense is going to be and how much hungrier we're going to be after the draw that we had. I think we're going to get 3.
I like 2. If Cat Berry changes the cleats, it's 3 goals for me.
But only if. What if she doesn't?
Then I told you it's
only
2.
It's only 2
goals. Yeah.
But then it'll be 3 if she does.
3.
So wait, is she not scoring one of them?
Hey, that's up to her.
She's gonna wear black cleats. just to prove her. She's like, I'm gonna do it with my black cleats.
I know.
Hey, I gotta respect it though, because like there's so many flashy cleats now, and I'm a sucker for flashy cleats, but I respect they go with the, you know what? No, I'm not falling into it. We're gonna go with just like these nice, clean ones and just go for it. We'll see what happens though. Maybe she will change. I don't know.
I mean, not a lot. Like I was looking, during the game to see who had black cleats, and there's literally like no one wears dark color cleats. It's usually like whites or, the bright colors, the oranges and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, it's because you look like you run slower if you're wearing a dark color.
It's mind games with the opponent. They're like, whoa, look at that slow striker. And then boom, blow right by them.
Exactly.
Yeah. And maybe that's the play, actually. She has her cleats painted with bricks. Like they're brick walls. Imagine like a brick wall pattern on them, and then you just do that. How cool would that be? I'm not gonna lie. It's like all the NFL cleats, how they have the people do the custom cleats for them.
Yeah,
that would be kind of sick. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Goodness,
that would be so good. Oh man! All right, so game Friday at home for the women, then away again against who we got now? New Mexico, right? Is up next. They're that team that we kind of got that stunner result against whenever they were like rolling hot, and we ended up getting that win off of them. So let's see if we can replicate that and do our thing. That one I feel pretty good about, which that's a Sunday game, isn't it? That kind of like flew over my head. Is that right? Oh man, that's a rarity for us.
Oh yeah, it is on Sunday
at
6.
So,
Sunday at 6 p.m. at
Watch
Isotopes Park.
Hey, that would be dope.
Watch
so
party?
This is kind of a weird weekend. We got a Friday and a Sunday rolling with us. Watch party would be kind of dope. That's a good time. 6 on a Sunday. Get rid of the Sunday scaries by going and cheering on LSC. Watch us beat another Western Conference opponent. So that's my hope anyway. But we got a couple of matches. One at home. Be there. Be square. Do both. I don't really care. just get to end the game. That was a lot of rhyming. I didn't mean to do that.
That was a lot of rhyming.
I kind of slipped into some weird rhyming.
I was wondering if you
I was
I
like,
almost
"Oh,
commented on it.
what's going on here? Dr. Seuss overtook my body." No, I hope we get some good points. Anything we're missing? I think we got it all. Yeah.
think we're
Um,
Oh, Eli did ask what our favorite Ajago celebration was, like what the
oh,
celly is that we would choose. He's got that new weird like shirt tuck, like businessman walk thing.
His
I still like
celebrations
his
are weird. I don't
I
even.
don't get
signature,
them.
the
How do you
hand.
even explain them?
I don't know. I can't quite figure out what to call like his
Is
signature one that he took from college, the like the Miyagi-Do style
Yeah, is
one, you
that
know?
Doctor Strange or a cat? Like, is he like clawing like a cat, or is he like casting spells? Like, let me
Yeah,
open this portal real quick.
maybe both. I don't care, but I like it because it's unique. So I like that one a whole lot.
Yeah,
Going
I would.
going
Yeah,
with portals or tuck?
portals.
Portals. We're
need
going
to
with
need
portals.
to get on a sling ring. What is
Yeah,
it?
the sling ring. You
Ring?
got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just knows ball.
I know my Marvel.
Yeah. See, you got that.
Yeah,
Boom. All right.
Just knows ball
Consensus.
and can hold a stein.
Ajago portals. Yeah. And win.
yep.
Baller. All right. Everybody, make sure you come out and support the women. We need this dub. We need this dub. Continue our unbeaten streak. Another clean sheet, maybe. Hopefully, that'd be really cool. That'd be kind
Yeah,
of epic if we end up doing that. And then, of course, I don't know. Did we see an official watch party for Sunday?
I
I've
haven't
not
seen
seen
Maybe,
one.
maybe
anything.
I
not.
wouldn't
I'm
be
gonna keep an eye
surprised
out.
if there
We'll,
was.
we'll post about it if there is, and then that
Yeah.
might be a good one to go to. I think that would be kind of a solid one. It's not a
Oh,
11 p.m. type
but
of
I
deal.
mean, is there a chance though that they would show like football over
You're in like that
American
weird
football
window.
over?
You're in that
Huh?
nice window though, that I think we maybe work out. Maybe.
There's usually
Whatever.
not too many 4 o'clock games during that like time slot.
They could spare a team or
So
two.
yeah,
LSD is better, more important, anyways.
That's right. It's our home team. There is no NFL team that's here in Lexington, so I will put that out there. I say
Yes,
that as a Vikings fan.
LSD takes priority.
That's right. It absolutely does. Oh, and also for my Bengals fans out there, I'm sorry. Not really. Not really. I've been on the other side of that too often, so it feels glorious. Anyway, make sure you guys come out. Keep an eye in case there is a watch party. If there is, we'll post about it. Maybe everybody will be out there celebrating, having a good time. Maybe watch some American football and LSE football and get all the wins we could ever want. Until then, I mean, you know what it is. Come on, you greens.